Hey guys, I'm Ryan Wright.
Hey guys, I'm Andrew.
So Andrew and I today, and by the way, Andrew just started up a YouTube channel, guys. You guys have been wanting him to do one for a while now, and now he has one going. Does a lot of movie talk. Today we're going to review Star Wars, or Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Oh, it's such a good movie, man.
It's a great fucking film. We're going to review the original trilogy. We're not going to do the prequels. We'll get into that why a little bit later. I mean, starting off with this movie, watching it again was amazing because right when it says Star Wars, because I hadn't seen the movie in years. So when it says Star Wars at the beginning, it's like, wow, I can only imagine being in the theaters and being introduced to this film with the awesome prologue and how the credits scroll, and then we get our introduction into these characters. And what I like about the film that I didn't notice before is that it's kind of like a build-up movie. It starts off on a rather small scale. Like after Darth Vader, they get to Tatooine, and then it's like a rather really small scale. But then as each scene goes, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and by the finale, it's just huge, you know?
I just love how basically in the first 2 minutes, we already know what's going on for the most part in the story. You see the Rebel ship, you see the Imperial ship, and you see that they're chasing them and they want something that they have. And it's basically laid out in a platter in the first 2 minutes, and without exposition having to be, splattered into our face. I mean, we can just see the visuals and already tell what's going on. I feel it's such a good, plot element, story element when you can just show something visually and you already know what's going on without having to, like I said, spoil it and say exposition all over the place and tell us what's going on. So I thought that was a very good way of just introducing us, getting us right into the world. When you see the first shot, you see that small Rebel ship and that huge Imperial ship, like, damn, they are in a lot of trouble right now. I love that opening right there, and I mean, just like you said, every scene gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we learn more about this world and how big, the universe and galaxy is. It's just such a great journey on this trip.
And the characters are so well written in this film.
Yes.
It really does make you go, what happened, George Lucas, with the prequels? The characters are so well written in this film that I think what really makes this movie stand the test of time is this awesome group of characters, because everyone's sort of introduced as an individual. No one's really tight-knit. And by the end of this film, you got a really strong group of unlikely heroes.
Oh, yeah.
What's great about it is the second you see these characters, you get these characters. When Darth Vader appears, more than just his outfit, you're just like the way he walks, like, I own the fucking room, and then you hear James Earl Jones' voice, and you're like, this guy is fucking scary.
Yeah.
And Leia, she's the leader of the rebels because of the prologue. Her very second moment we see of her, she shoots at a stormtrooper. You're seeing like, oh, she's a fighter. She's not just some like woman who's giving orders. Like she's in the field.
The damsel in distress. She's actually a warrior as well as a princess. No, I agree with you. And also on top of that, as well as the amazing characters, the arcs in this film for each character is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Just to see where Luke starts off at the beginning of the film, see where he ends up at the end, see where Han Solo has that scoundrel, awesome scoundrel, don't get me wrong, but that character arc he has at the end, which we'll go into once we go into detail on each scene. But just again, the character arcs in this film are amazing. The characters are amazing, and just instantly they're very likable right off the bat. It's, you know what I mean? You understand their motivations and what they're after immediately. It doesn't waste time, fill her up. It just tells us immediately what they want. Han Solo, all he's interested is in money. Luke Skywalker, he just wants to join the rebellion. Leia, she wants to destroy the Imperial base. Darth Vader, he wants the Death Star plans. It's very simple. It's not overcomplicated. It's a very simple plot and very likable characters.
What's funny about the acting in this film is it's not like the best acting. However, the characters are so memorable. Like with Luke Skywalker, I'm watching it, I'm like, Mark Hamill's a little over the top here. He's still so fucking likable. Like he's the most likable dude on the planet.
Wait
which
a
is
second.
not a big planet.
Are you saying a movie directed by George Lucas had the best acting in it? No. We're not saying they're bad performances at all. They're great performances still, but I completely agree. You can tell a few scenes there was like the power converters, that was a little over the top. I like that they did show that though, because it shows, again, it's a character arc for him. He starts off as a kid who's like, a little whiny and kind of like Anakin in episode 2, but you know what I mean? But you see that character arc and you don't mind that moment because you see where the character goes at the end. Those kind of moments don't bother me, like you said, because of where we see where they end up, and they do pull it off. Great performances despite, not the best direction in the world. So I completely agree with you.
One thing I really loved is what they did with C-3PO and R2-D2. I love their dynamics of how C-3PO always treats him like he doesn't like him, but then when R2-D2's in any type of danger, he's like so concerned.
He fears for his life.
And he's over dramatic all the time. He's a warrior. And then R2-D2's like, you don't know what he says, yet you're like, R2-D2's the shit. Like, he knows how to handle things. I love that they brought these droids really to life. And the characters don't treat them like, hey, you're just droids. They treat them like they're people they can communicate with, you know? I love that level of humanity and respect to their machines. Not another story of, oh, the droids are gonna take over, or some shit, you know?
Yeah, of course. No, and I completely agree. And also, to add what you're saying, I love that there's so many scenes in the film where the droids are the heroes. For instance, that scene where R2-D2 saves them in the trash compactor. That was a big scene. Any scenes where, you know, C-3PO is interpreting for them, you know, it basically takes the plot or story to the next scene. So they're not just there to be there. They're very important and essential to the plot, and also they have a huge part to play, as well as, you know, having their own hero scenes, which I love. And that one scene where C-3PO is telling the stormtrooper that they went that way or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like he's not human, but he does have a little bit of a brain, I guess.
And he has a heart, you know?
Yeah,
that's cool. It's like he cares, but they don't talk about like the engineering that went into that. I like how they just make you accept that, you know?
Yes, I completely agree.
What's interesting about this film is it's light on humor, but when all these characters come together, there's a lot of humor. Obi-Wan Kenobi, man, what a legend, you know? Like he's in one of the Star Wars movies alive, you know? He's in the other two as a ghost, but Force Ghost, I like that. He's in one of these movies alive. He's just so fucking memorable. You know, he's like
the wise wizard.
He's like David Carradine from Kung Fu, but you know, like a Jedi.
Yeah, no, completely agree. That bar scene where he just chops that guy's arm off, he means business, and he's the man. And I told you I'm not huge heavy into so many exposition scenes, but when he's laying down exposition about the Clone Wars and giving Luke his lightsaber, it's so intriguing, and
Absolutely.
You just love hearing that stuff. So,
and you know why he has such a passion for this, even though he's been kind of like in exile. It's because they established that he trained Darth Vader.
Right.
It's cool to have like that be the protagonist, but he also constantly thinks in the bigger picture of things. He's the definition of a wise character. And how can we not talk about this movie without mentioning the Force? The Force. I never quite comprehended just how beautiful the concept of the Force is. It's everything time to get a little personal. It's everything I personally believe about life. That everything is energy attraction, and that we limit ourselves with our own brain thought. And like, I totally believe people are so capable of levitating something. The thing is, the reason I can't do it, I'm not at the level yet where I believe I can actually do that. But if someone, like, I've heard stories of like those monks with the cold towels, and then it goes like sweaty hot, and when they're in a freezer, like weird shit. The Force capitalizes on that idea of the universe and we're all in connection, and we're more than capable of everything. So follow your heart, because your instincts are telling you more than what your brain might talk you out of.
that was deep, man.
That was deep. That's what's up, Ryan Wright, people.
I can't really add much more than that, but I will just say, just watching the scenes where you see Luke learn a little bit. I mean, again, we don't dive too deep into the Force in this one, which I love. They keep it a real mystery. But just that one scene where he's blocking with the laser, with the lightsaber, with the block with the.
That's a great scene, yeah.
I love that scene where I guess Han Solo says, he doesn't believe in hokey religions and stuff like that. Just a great scene, and where we really get an idea. Just, again, we're still left a little mystified with just this film. We don't have a full understanding of the Force. Just that little hint of it where he's, and also, obviously, the last scene in the Battle of Yavin, where Obi-Wan tells him to take off the targeting system and use the Force. So powerful. I mean, again, visual. You don't need to do exposition to tell us stuff. You can visually show us, and we will understand. We are somewhat smart.
Yeah, exactly. So when the characters come together with Han Solo comes in rather late into this film. For such a memorable character, you're like, Han Solo came in here a little late.
30 to 40 minutes in, something around
that. And Han Solo, Harrison Ford's performance, only Harrison Ford can do what Harrison Ford does. He manages to immediately make a guy likable who was such a dick at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think what saves him, what causes that saving grace, is the fact that his best friend, his partner, is Chewbacca. Because he doesn't treat Chewbacca like, you're my pet. Or you're my slave. Like, he communicates with Chewbacca. Yeah, he's the leader. You know what I mean? He treats him like a human being.
It's his best friend.
It's his best friend. And the fact that he's so bonded with someone who he can't even speak the same language. Well, it does one of those things where like he understands what he's saying, but you know.
I love how they do that. By the way, where Chewie, you know, does his growl, and then Han just says what he's saying, and we understand. We don't need to see subtitles or what Chewie's saying. We understand just from how Han reacts to him. They're best friends, and we feel that bond instantly. It's not like, oh, he treats him like a pet, or that's his dog friend or something. No, you can tell the connection immediately. They're best friends, and they would take a laser for each other right now, and you instantly feel that bond. Instantly, so I completely agree with you. Love that bond and connection between all the characters, especially Han and Chewie.
You know, there's the famous scene, like, I guess there's spoilers in this review. This is going to be a spoiler in case
If you have not seen this film yet, sorry. It's 1977, guys.
One thing I got to give the prequels, without talking too much about it real fast, is they updated the hell out of the Jedi fights. You know, like that's one thing those prequels got right, was they made the Jedi fights a lot cooler. And it's interesting to see the first Star Wars Jedi lightsaber fight. It's just them like poking at each other. It's more like fencing.
It's like a dance. It's so choreographed.
And at first, when I saw this film, I remember having a hard time getting on board with Obi-Wan being a ghost. But it goes so in line with the Force that we're more than just our human bodies, you know? He gets struck down, and that's a sad moment, and it does affect Luke, and it puts Luke in a situation where he is completely alone right now. Luke Skywalker has an interesting arc, because it doesn't do that thing where he kills someone and then he's like, oh my god, this is what it feels like. When he starts killing people, he's like, yeah, I got one. So Luke is actually a serial killer, people. He has a mass murdering person inside of him.
Thousands of people on that Death Star.
Yeah, no, he kills people.
That's a lot of deaths on that Death Star.
Like that one famous scene where he's like shoots down a TIE fighter. He's like, I got one.
Yeah.
Don't get cocky, kid. Last thing I want to talk about, the finale.
Yeah. Oh, the Battle of Yavin.
To this day, it's amazing how this film had barely any budget. It's from the 70s.
Still holds up.
Still holds up. Like, really strong.
I know.
You're not making exceptions when you're watching that shit.
Oh, I completely agree.
The practical effects, the miniatures and all that,
yeah,
look massive when you're watching it.
No, I agree. And sometimes when I watch that battle, I have to relook at the box on IMDb just to confirm it was made in 1977, because I can't believe how good it still holds up. It's incredible.
It's choreographed well. It's intense. It's exciting.
And there's so much tension in it. You really feel, even though you might have an idea that Luke might start, you feel so much tension when Darth Vader starts getting out there.
Starts shooting at him, yeah.
I mean, just everyone plows basically most of the ships on there, and you have a real deep concern for Luke in that scene until, you know, our hero saves the day.
So and that was cool.
Oh, it was awesome.
Love how they didn't, like, really set that up. Okay, you can kind of predict, especially with movies nowadays, of everything we've been exposed to, we can predict that Han Solo's probably going to come in and save the day. However, this film does it in such a way where you're so engrossed in the battle, so engrossed in the moment between Luke and Vader, that you forget that Han Solo is going to show up and save the day.
And also, I feel like if they were doing it today, not Star Wars, maybe if it was the Batman v Superman trailer people, I feel like they would have shown that in the trailer.
Yeah.
Han saving him, like, okay, there's no more tension in this film now, you know? Like you just said, last thing for me, when Darth Vader's about to shoot Luke, you're not even thinking anymore about Han, you're just so in concern for Luke, and then boom, he saves the day, like, wow, such a great hero moment, such a great character arc for Han, because at the beginning of the film, there's no way he would have came back for Luke right there. No way. They had a built-up friendship that you truly felt, and you believed that he would come back for him in that moment. At the beginning of the film, there's no way he would have came back for him.
And with Han Solo, with this ceremony, you see this guy's changed. You know, he was always a loner, wanting to be on his own. He has now joined the rebellion. Like, he has a purpose in life now. He has a cause. Everything's written so well. Film. Characters come together fully. Love the sequences of spectacle and everything like that. Fantastic film. Apparently people don't understand movie reviews unless there's a rating. So I'm going to make one up right now. I give it 5 out of 5 lightsaber dildos.
I will concur with that and give it 5 out of 5 too.
Anyway guys, listen, thanks for tuning into the channel. If you're new to it, click this button today, subscribe, and become a reject. And Andrew has a channel now too, like we mentioned earlier, youtube.com/moviesource. Check it out. Andrew talking about movies, and you can tell he knows what he's talking about. Follow us on our social networks. Andrew tweets a lot, I Instagram a lot, and I'm also now on YouNow, the live streaming thing. Yes, where you can donate to me. It's a good app. It's a good app. Make a little more money.